When I talk to parents about their kids, it often seems like their focus is on their achievements, as well as on the external indicators of right behavior. They'll ask me for help in changing their kids' behavior or disciplining tips to get them to be well-behaved. Now, I know that they love their kids, but I honestly think they're looking at the wrong things to change. The truth is, how kids turn out is far more dependent on what's going on inside their hearts, rather than on their outside behavior. That means that as a parent, my capacity to connect with my kids' hearts is more important than just the rules I set or how I discipline them. Another alarming trend I see these days is how much today's parenting is based on fear. Fear of the world and bad things happening, fear of moral failure in our kids, fear of other people's opinions, fear of our kids not reaching their potential. Because of that, too many parents create rigid rules and expectations for their kids, the do's and don'ts of proper behavior. It's too much about managing our kids' behavior and not enough about connecting with our kids' hearts. This parenting plan is based on two wrong assumptions: that the battle is mostly outside of your child, and that somehow the moral life can be transferred to your child's heart, just like downloading information onto your computer from an internet. Our job as parents is to ultimately help our kids internalize a sense of security that's rooted in their ability to love others and receive love from others. With that sense of attachment and security, our kids will be able to explore, try new challenges, face difficulties, set tough personal goals, and become effective influencers of others. And the ironic thing about relationships is that the more I'm connected to my kids, the more likely I'm going to be a strong influence in their lives. Not because of their fear of the consequences of disobeying me, but because they love me and they want to please me. This is especially key if you're raising teenagers, because they're in a stage of individuating from you, and their natural bent will be to buck your control in their lives. Trust me, lecturing does not work at this stage. Trying to control their choices with anger and harsh consequences also doesn't work. You might get outward compliance, but you're going to get inward or behind your back rebellion, or alternatively, you might get passive acceptance of your control in their lives, but that sets them up to have very weak wills and difficulty making good decisions for themselves. It's important to realize that the adolescent years is a time of identity formation and individuation. That means it's a time when your teens are learning about who they are, what they like and don't like, and the choices that they can make. They're learning how to separate in a healthy way from their parents. For boys, that often begins as early as age 8 to 18. For girls, it's typically between the ages of 10 and 18. Teenagers need the freedom to make their own decisions and learn from their own mistakes within safe and clear boundaries that you set for them. They need to exercise their personal judgment, even if it means that they will make foolish choices. What better time than when they're still within your safety net to make mistakes, when they can lean on your love and support as they experience the consequences of their poor choices. This is how they learn wisdom as well as grace. This is how they learn to pick themselves up from their mistakes and grow from them. Often their efforts to do this separation will look like rebellion or even outright moral failure, so you need a lot of wisdom to discern what's really going on so you don't overreact. Having said that, regardless of how much emotional turmoil they're experiencing during this time of transition, you must never tolerate disrespect. They have to learn how to set boundaries, establish different opinions, make different choices, disagree with others, but all in a respectful way. This is a learned behavior, and so it means that while you give them greater freedom to make choices, you continue to uphold your values and establish consequences if those values aren't being upheld by your teens. You can set parameters for what you expect of your teens, but then give them freedom to choose within those parameters. And remember, if you've invested time in developing a connected relationship with them, you will continue to be a strong influence in their lives, even without words. I'm Dr. Mary.